Hello, lacrosse fans and friends. I'm Amanda Mastera with World Lacrosse Now. March is Women's History Month. We are excited to continue and celebrating women in the sport, the indelible impression that they make on and off the field. So one of those very impactful players and leaders is one of the most accomplished lacrosse players, I think, in history. And we're really honored to be joined with her today. So Michelle, welcome, and thank you for joining us today on World Lacrosse Now.
Well, thanks, Amanda. I'm really excited to be here and talk about one of my favorite topics, lacrosse.
I mean, mine too. So
yeah,
a huge congratulations is in order. Not only were you inducted into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, but in addition, you are now the chair of the World Lacrosse Women's Box Working Group. So talk to me about box lacrosse, how it's been part of your journey and your early years of starting to play lacrosse.
I got involved from an early age. I was fortunate to have parents that just said, yeah, join whatever you want, do whatever you want. And they were very happy to have us just out of the house, I think. Yeah, so I went out and honest to God, I borrowed a stick from my brother's friend, and I pieced together some of my brother's hockey gear and threw a bunch of gear on. And I went out and I literally fell in love with it almost right from the get-go. So, and I think what I loved most about it was the physical aspect, because I'm not a very big, I'm like 5'5" and about $120 soaking wet. And so to play in such a physical sport, while it was a real big challenge, it was the thing I liked about it the most. It was like being a bit of a gladiator. You go into a game and you got all this armor on, and I don't know, it felt like you're a bit of a warrior or something. It was almost like a high when you play such a physical sport, and to excel at something that was considered a boys game, a boys sport. I remember this guy, one of my teammates' dads, coming up to me after a game, and I'm sure he thought he was paying me a huge compliment, but he smacks me on the back and he says, I love watching you play just like a boy. And I thought, okay.
Your number one focus right now is growing opportunities for girls and women in box lacrosse, but also, in the field game. Talk to me about where you see the development of both of these games growing worldwide.
I mean, our responsibility with the working group is to identify a pathway forward. And so our group is committed to ensuring that we do our darndest to make that happen. So as you know, at the end of last year, we put out a survey to women pretty much all over the globe. So if they were connected in any way to the sport of lacrosse, whether they were former players, current players, coaches, all these people responded, like close to 1,800 women.
Yeah.
In 40 countries. The majority said that they not only want to have the opportunity to play box lacrosse, but they want to play more box lacrosse, and they want to compete, not just locally, not just on fun teams. They want to compete regionally, they want to compete nationally, and they want to compete internationally, just like the men do.
Before beginning a very incredible career as a coach, you served as a captain for Team Canada in 3 world championships, previously known as World Cups, 1982, 1986, and 1989. What is your fondest memory of playing on the international field, the circuit, every championship?
I was thinking about that, Amanda, and it's hard to narrow it down because it spanned quite a period of time. But first off, I mean, it was such an honor to be chosen as a captain of a team, and I really took that role seriously. And I actually got quite comfortable in that role. And there was, I guess, the one that stood out was we were getting ready to go to a world championship, our very first one in Nottingham, England, and as the captain of the team, I got invited to be interviewed on a live television show in Vancouver. And they asked me to bring my lacrosse stick so I could give the host, her name was Pia Shondell, give her a quick lesson in lacrosse. And so there I am, and they said, like, dress in your Canada attire. So I've like got a Canada sweatsuit on and all this stuff on my stick. And And so I get up on the stage with her, and she's dressed in a skirt and a blouse and big heels, and she's towering over top of me. And there I was trying to teach Pia Shondell how to cradle in front of a live audience. And I think it ended when Pia zinged the ball and it went under the stand somewhere, and that was sort of the end of the lesson. But meanwhile, my teammates were all in the audience, and they were just in hysterics. And
nothing like trying to venture out of your comfort zone,
yeah,
and that translates directly into being a coach, right?
yeah.
Talk to me about being a coach and how it's really nurtured who you are as a leader today.
I prided myself in being a player's coach, and that I would never ask my players to do something that I wouldn't do myself. To which my players would always say, well, that's great because you run marathons aside from other things, and you train harder than anybody we know.
More sprints. If
Yeah.
I can do it, you can do it.
Well, I just tried to lead by example. So, and then when I stepped away from coaching after the 97 World Championship, I figured I'd better focus a bit on my career. So I'm a probation officer by profession. And when I jumped back into the probation world, I kind of needed to find my way again. And I took that same energy that I had as a coach and as a player, and I dedicated it to my work. And I ended up teaching at the Police and Corrections Academy.
Say there's a young girl in some corner of the world right now, and she wants to start playing box lacrosse, but she keeps hearing it's too rough for girls, or girls should not play that game. What would your advice be to her?
Box lacrosse changed my life, set me on a pathway that got me to where I am now. And so directly to young athletes out there, if you want to play lacrosse, box lacrosse, go for it, and don't let anything hold you back. And my journey to get to where I am now was a bit of a bumpy ride, but I'm going to do my best to ensure that the pathway forward for girls in the sport of box lacrosse is a much smoother one going forward. And that's what I'm committed to with this working group. And I know all the working group is as well. And I know World Lacrosse supports us in that, or in our efforts as well.
Well, thank you for joining us. We are grateful for the work that you continue to do on and off the field. We are excited to see the development of the sport worldwide, and especially for girls and women. So thank you for all you do, Michelle. And thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.